Welcome to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles. I'm here with my co host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Tracy, we have another Tracy here today. Tracey Walsh is the Chief Administrative Officer at Legacy Franchise Concepts, a solution focused, profit driven leader with a strong track record in evaluating business models, developing strategic plans, and leading cross functional teams through execution. She brings vision, experience, and business acumen. We're going to talk about that to driving operational excellence and sustainable growth. Tracy has held progressive leadership roles spanning operations, business development, real estate and construction, marketing and advertising, purchasing, budgeting, and franchising. She's the Swiss Army knife of franchising. So, Tracy, I'm so glad you are here. We're looking forward to this conversation. So, thank you for making some time for us.
Thank you so much, Rebecca and Tracy. I'm so proud to be here.
Oh, nice. So we have so many questions for you today, Tracy, but along the lines of this Swiss Army knife, like where did it all begin with franchising? How did you get into franchising to begin with?
I had just finished my master's in business administration and international business and saw that there was an ad looking for kind of a franchise business consultant, somebody that had a business acumen, somebody that could read P&L statements and understand them. So
Mm.
when I met Michael Weissman at Tutor Time Childcare Systems, he said, listen, I've always interviewed people that were from early childhood. And I'm dealing with so many franchisees. He was just a brand new franchisor at the time. And he said, I need somebody that can talk on their level. So I traveled with he and his wife for the next 3 years, and they were really mentors for me to learn everything about franchise sales, real estate, construction, operations. We traveled the nation, opening up locations, selling franchises, working with GCs. I mean, it was soup to nuts for the
Yeah.
first 3 years.
Wow.
Wow.
It's interesting when you work with a emerging franchisor, as you did with Michael Wiseman and his wife. You do have to wear a lot of
Yeah.
hats, right? You have to learn all of these things. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that relationship evolved and how they became mentors to you?
So I worked for Tutor Time for probably about 9 years. And as I grew with the company in more executive roles, I was probably an area developer. Uh, I think by the time I left, I think it was vice president of operations. That goes back a
Mhm.
number of years for me, obviously.
Uh,
And they just constantly were working to make me better. They were investing in me to make sure that I knew everything. So that when I left, I had so much to offer my next employer. And I think of that, what was given to me is what I looked to give to my staff. I want to make sure that, not everybody stays forever. And whether or not you're with me for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever that might be, I want you to know more than you came in and be able to share that knowledge and pay it forward to the next group.
So that means that somebody has to be able to be moldable. And a lot of people coming out of school, different generations or different
Yeah.
mindsets, they can really feel like, oh, I know it. I'm going to apply what I know. But it sounds like you were so moldable and open and willing to learn. So what are some of the attributes that you had that you look for in people that you work with today?
Number one, I look for people that will listen.
yes.
Because if you're not going to listen, I can't help you get better. If you just have blinders on or your ears
Yeah.
closed and you're only going to follow what the textbooks taught you in college, there's a whole different world out there. It's called building a relationship with someone, making sure that you are giving and taking. I mean, I'm learning as much from my team now that are much younger than I am, as well as them learning it themselves. We all have speed bumps in life, and how do we handle those speed bumps allows us to be bigger, better, and more successful.
I don't think I've ever heard that attribute before. I'm looking for someone who can listen because that really is an attribute. Someone
Mhm.
that listens is more coachable, right? Is more
Right.
open to learning. I had a flashback, guys,
Mhm.
when you said that of someone that I had to fire after 2 months, and I don't like firing people.
No.
And that was the issue, an unwillingness to listen, didn't want to learn. And I watched her go from job to job, get fired after just a few months for the exact same purpose. I already know it all. I know what I'm,
Yeah.
rather than being open to listen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pay attention to that a little bit more, Tracy. So this beautiful experience of these various experiences you've had and really good mentors along the way have put you in a place now where you want to pay it forward and give back. And you've done that in 1,000 ways as a leader in franchising, but you've also been um, outside of franchising, the Red Cross, you were a religious educator, you're now part of another women's group that you're part of.
Collective.
Yeah.
Tell us more about your volunteer work and what attracted you to those and how you're participating.
Great question. I think to even take it a step back, throughout my career, I've worked with different nonprofit organizations. I've worked with Best Buddies, with Anthony Kennedy Shriver. I've worked for Arc Broward. Both groups dealt with individuals with learning disabilities, cognitive difficulties. And when you work in an environment like that, you're looking to always pay it forward. You know, many of the clients that I worked with were already always teaching me something in their own special way. And to me, I've just been able to translate that, whether or not teaching religious education from second graders all the way up to eighth graders. Um, I'll never forget being with the Red Cross during Hurricane Andrew. I'm originally from South Florida and helping all the people that were devastated by that hurricane. Um, it's just, and right now, I have a mentor with the Women's Collective here in Atlanta. I am also a Eucharistic minister to an 85-year-old woman that lives in an assisted living facility. So I bring her communion weekly. And I always tease her, I go, this is the best hour of my week is coming
Wow.
to visit her. And she said, no, it's the best hour of my week. And I said, oh my gosh, I just love you so much. She goes, why would you love me? And I said, because you give back. You give to me
Mhm.
that extra, you know, zhuzh, we're there together building a relationship. Um, she's suffering from dementia, so she might not remember everything from week to week. Um, but to me, I do the same for Hannah as I do for my teams. I just want to make sure that I give back to them.
What attracted you to doing that kind of work in the first place, the ministering?
I,
Like,
I think
yeah,
I think once you get that itch,
yeah,
you just need more of it. You need to be able to be there for someone else.
yeah.
Um, I just my family and I, even growing up as a young child, we always brought communion to people's homes. We were always there making meals for someone maybe who just had a baby. So it
Mm.
was just my parents that were ones that taught me you need to continue to give.
So, there's some scientific evidence Here's a big
Ooh,
scientist speaking of this generous spirit, right? That when we give, we get these beautiful hormones that release in our brain that makes us healthier, overall
Yes.
healthier, happier, less, frustrated and depressed. So it does release all these beautiful chemicals, but the same is happening as you're giving to someone else, right?
Hmm.
You're lifting them up and showing them that they have value in God's eyes, value in your eyes, that this moment in time is precious, whether it's, doing communion or it's coaching one of your team members.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit how this pay it forward, pay it back, generous spirit, how you apply it directly with your team.
So with my team, they're all different ages and stages in their professional development.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them have just graduated college. Many of them are trying to decide, what do I do next? And I was always, or I am always the one to say, listen, I want to teach you everything that I know so that you can take it to the next position. I never look at somebody that is leaving our company um, as a detriment. I think it's an opportunity to say, gosh, the time that we got to spend together was amazing. And I know that you're going to be an asset in the next part of your professional career. Um, a lot of my team here is just like, oh my gosh, Tracy, you're like the mother bear. Um, wanting, and again, it's that motherly side that says, listen, I know you're going to go do great things. I'm just one hop of your hopscotch there. I'm just one of those locations. And again, I feel very blessed that the team has stayed for as long as they wanted. They learned what they learned, and it's time to kind of take that next transition. I think with
Wow,
the groups right now, many of them are only staying maybe 1 or 2 years and then going on to the next
that's true.
opportunity.
Mhm.
And again, I just want to offer them everything that I can and what I know. Again, might be relationship building. It might be how do we scale? How do we increase our profit margins? Um,
Mhm.
it's all about building that relationship with them because you never know when they're going to come back into your life. I have franchisees from 30 years ago that continue to call me saying, what would you do? How would you handle this situation? They may have moved on from the franchise that I was with them at that time. Um, so to me, it's just an honor to continue to help people move it forward.
that's really
Yeah.
nice. Do you see people staying for shorter amount of time as opposed to years ago where someone would be in a job and they'd be there for 5, 10,
Correct.
15, 20 years? You see,
Yes. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's young people today. I
yeah.
think they're trying to get everything that they can out of whatever company they're working for. And if
Yeah.
they feel stagnant or it's just maybe not a good fit anymore, they are able to pivot much quicker than you and I were at that age.
Um,
I just, I applaud them.
mm,
One side of my brain says, wow, they're going to have a lot of jobs on their resume. And as someone who looks at resumes, I might think of that as a negative, but maybe it's a positive. Maybe they
yeah.
were kind of stagnant and not learning, and so they needed to be able to pivot. I mean, we're in such a
Mm.
technologically driven
Yeah.
world where things are changing moment by moment. And again, I applaud someone that can pivot like that.
It's a good point. I never thought of it like that, that they're able to pivot.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's true. I like that you um, invest in them anyway,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
That you're planting seeds, you're teaching them, you're doing what you need, and then knowing that they're little birds and they're going to fly away at some
Right.
point, probably more quickly than others
Correct.
would have in the past, but
Yep.
you're still investing wholeheartedly in that. I do have a question on that because I always see relationships as something that grows over time. Do you think the this younger generations that are more pivotable, is that a word?
Pivotable. We're gonna enter
It
that
is
into
today.
Make
Merriam-Webster.
up our own
Pivotable.
words today. Are they, how do they build relationships? Because it is such an important
Mm,
part of being in business if they're going every 1 or 2 years someplace else.
good point.
It's really a good point. I think that I try to stay in touch with them. I put a little marker on my calendar to send them a little text once in a while saying, thinking
Oh,
about you, hope
Nice.
that you're doing well. All of my franchisees in my system right now, for any holiday, I will send them a personal note. To me, it's that you're building that relationship. I'm not just there in the good times or the bad times, I'm there all the time.
Mm.
And again, my team is no different. And again, even if you left, I just got a text today from somebody that left 3 years ago. And he said, listen, I saw what great things are happening with SweatHouz. Just wanted to know that you're doing great. You know,
okay.
I just, to me, it definitely is a thumbs up. And I said, oh my gosh, Happy New Year. Things are going great. We're about to open our 100th location. I'm so excited for what's in the future of SweatHouz.
So tell us a little bit more about that. So you're with Legacy Franchising and excuse me, Legacy Franchise Concepts, and of course, Sweat House. Tell us about both and how that all works together.
Great, great. Legacy Franchise Concepts is the franchisor of SweatHouse Contrast Therapy Studios and is a franchisee of Dogtopia. So we have two different brands. We will eventually
Oh.
have perhaps additional brands in the health and wellness. One never knows what we might acquire, right? And right now, I am very focused on SweatHouse. I oversee our franchise sales, our legal department, as well as HR. In the past, I oversaw construction and real estate. So again, I wear a lot of hats here,
Mm.
just because I am that Swiss Army knife for emerging brands. And we just we're going to conquer and tackle. That's what we're going to do.
I like.
Exciting. 100th store, 100th
Yes.
location. That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, we've worked really hard. I think the product that we have is unbelievable. If you're not familiar with SweatHouse Contrast Therapy Studios, you as a member are going to go into one of our suites that has an infrared sauna, a cold plunge, and a vitamin C shower. All of us are going for different reasons. Some of us are um, fitness enthusiasts and are running marathons, etc. That's not me. Um, and
Me
then we
either.
have others that, want to just take a moment for themselves. Others want to um, reduce the inflammation, arthritis, whatever the case might be. So at SweatHouse, we have people in their 20s all the way through their 70s that are members.
Interesting.
It's fun. Tracy Walsh. I'm gonna call you Miss Kawa, Miss Walsh is what I'm going to do going forward. Um, this attribute that you have this generous spirit, you have this ability to mentor others.
Mhm.
You yourself are good at pivoting from role to role in a moment's notice.
Mhm.
Where does that come from? I mean, did you have a military life where you had to move all the time?
Mm.
No, no,
What, tell me
I
more
think
where
it,
that comes from.
and I always attribute it for working with emerging brands. So back to when I was with Tutor Time, I had to learn everything. We had to pivot when something happened at a construction site that was incorrect. How do you solve that problem? So I think of me, and I always say to my team, if you've never worked for an emerging brand, you
You need
have
to.
to know how to pivot. And
Mm.
pivoting isn't bad. It's just we've got to be able to solve the problem. And I think many people in their roles become very stagnant. And that's one of the reasons why I love emerging brands is because
Mm.
we can pivot, because we can wear so many hats. No day is ever the same as the day previous or the next day. And I love that adrenaline rush.
And it doesn't wear you out. I
No.
mean, you're excited. I
Yeah.
see the enthusiasm and
Yeah.
passion
Yeah.
right here. But the idea of shifting, okay, I got to go and put my marketing hat on. I got to
Right.
put my ops hat on. I got to put my real estate hat on. Just listening to you, I'm exhausted. I mean,
But again, it goes back to building those relationships. So whether or not
yeah.
I'm dealing with a real estate broker or a GC, I'm there to help solve the problem the best of my ability and know that, gosh, you know what? I'm going to take whatever I learned and I'm going to implement that, you know, plug and play.
Yeah. I have a question for both of you. First, I want to hear from Tracy what you think. Do you think it takes a high degree of emotional intelligence to be able to pivot in and out of roles, in and out of different responsibilities, to quickly problem solve and navigate situations?
I do. I do. I think you have to take whatever the situation at hand is. Don't think really hard and long. What should we be doing?
Mm,
What do we need to do to take it to the next level to fix it?
mm,
Yeah, you
yeah.
have to be able to pivot. Um,
Mm,
but
Um,
again, for somebody like an accountant that's kind of a rule follower, this might not be the position for them.
yeah.
My
Yeah.
husband's an accountant. He could never do my job ever. Um,
yeah, he's
yeah,
more
it's just
linear. He's more linear that way,
correct,
I think.
correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. I think thank you for sharing that because you're absolutely right. Some of it has to do with our own ability, right?
Mhm.
But to answer your question, Miss Kawa, um, I think not only does it have a lot to do with emotional and social intelligence, it has to do with another science called focus preference, which, like Miss Walsh just mentioned, requires being able to assess things very quickly and make a decision. So the ability to focus is dependent on how quick we make decisions, how much need we have for control, which is why you have so many people around you that can fill
Right,
holes, has to do with your self-esteem, and obviously commitment. So you're able, from the sounds of it, to quickly assess, make a decision. You're not pondering it, pondering, and
Mm,
you're trusting that the controls are in place. You've put the right people in the right seat, so
right.
to speak. But the decision making is split second almost,
mm,
and you trust yourself enough that you make it, knowing if it's not quite perfect, there can be some course correction. So it's a lot to do with what we call at Zorko focus preference, and you have all the pieces to be able to shift. I'm more like your husband, Tracy, more linear. So I am sitting here just in awe of how you're able to do that. So.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about something you've brought up many times, which is relationships. If you were to give advice to franchisees, emerging franchisors, anyone that really is dependent on others to build something, what tips, tricks, advice would you have to build those relationships? And in today's world, more quickly than ever, right? Because not,
Yep.
people aren't going to stay as long. What advice would you give to build those relationships?
One of the things with franchise sales, we're meeting new people all the time. People that are interested in our product. Again, what it doesn't matter what franchise it is. If I think that I could have dinner with them and hold a nice conversation, that's a
Mm.
great opportunity for us. if they believe in the product or the service, that's just another layer of identifying this is the right person. And I
Mm.
think if they understand the culture, franchisees of ours, we only have 39 of them with the opportunity to bring almost 500 locations throughout the country. So we have a very small, tight-knit group that gets it. They
Mm.
love health and wellness. They want to give back to their community. They are people who utilize contrast therapy on their own prior to coming in. That's a great relationship. And
Yeah.
we've decided to keep it rather small so that we can have an opportunity to pivot. So if we have a franchisee that's having an issue, we have corporate locations and we're having that issue. I only need to get 39 people on the phone or on a Zoom call to help analyze the situation. I don't have 200. Um, so
Hmm.
we made that decision in the beginning to be a multi-unit franchisor. Um, and it's just been the right decision for us. When I was with other brands, we sold to some one and two, like a franchisee that might have one or two. But with SweatHouz, we've decided give somebody a bigger territory, allow them to have their own kind of kingdom to make those decisions so that they are not in competition with another franchisee. So it's to me, it's been a great learning process, and we
Hmm.
know that it definitely is benefiting our franchise exponentially.
Nice. I was going to ask you about that because you mentioned 39 owners, but nearly 100 locations.
Hmm.
So, what is it about this particular business that lends itself to being a multi-unit owner type of business?
So as a multi-unit franchisee, you have a little bit bigger territory. You've purchased the opportunity to have more locations versus you having a location in city A, I have city B, and we might be getting cross memberships. You might do some special sales that I don't do.
Mm.
So again, that was really the real reason why to keep it uh, a bigger territory with fewer franchisees.
Interesting.
I, it's interesting when we asked the question about how advice you would have for building those relationships. A couple of things I came away with was one, limit the relationships, right?
Mhm.
It's tough to have a relationship with 2,000 people. It's
Yes.
easier to do it with 39, right? So you
Mhm.
have decided to make that circle of relationship
Mm.
smaller, and you also mentioned they need to have similar values or passions
Absolutely.
or that
Yeah.
align with who you are. We tend to build stronger relationships when people align with our
Yeah.
values, and you have a very clear culture and a very clear set of values that you live your life by. So I think those are two really important points that you brought up. We can't, what was it Abraham Lincoln said? You can please some of the people some of the time, you know, and all the people never, kind of thing. And that's kind of what you've done. You said, okay, we're going to do this different where we can really work with a handful that have the ability to do more than one territory. So I think it's brilliant. So, Miss Swiss Army Knife, what's the future for you? Um, what is something you want to conquer? Are you going to become the mayor of Atlanta? What are you thinking?
Oh my gosh. I just don't know. I would love to continue to build the relationships that I've made here with SweatHouz. I believe in the brand. I use the brand. It's making me feel better, so it naturally is going to make everyone else feel better. And to be surrounded by such amazing franchisees. We have
Yeah.
former CEOs, CIOs, CTOs.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I'm learning because they're paying it forward to me, and they are learning because I'm paying it forward to them. To me, you can't ask for more than that.
So, speaking of the C-suite, I
Mhm.
would really like to know what goes into the CAO position. How do you internally, I don't know, maybe coordinate so many moving parts, or maybe what are the moving parts that you have to coordinate, and how do you do it?
Again, I wear so many different hats, and
Yeah.
I've worn different hats at different times of the growth of SweatHouz, or even at Tutor Time or Pump It Up and Fun Brands, etc. I think as a CAO, I'm really one of those people that can think in the future, what are our needs going to be? Again,
Mm,
being able to pivot, being able to just know that even though I don't oversee construction and real estate, I know I can see when the speed bump is coming.
mm,
What kind of training our new team member may need. Because we are growing exponentially right now, I've had to give up some things. And as a mother bear, you want to keep it all. So again, I just think as the CAO, I still have a hand in a lot of different things, but I don't have to be the master of all of them. Um, right now, I'm solely focused on franchise sales, our legal department. Um, so those are the things that I'm focused on right now. But in meetings, I'm listening, I'm assessing, and offering advice.
mm,
You know, that's a really good question, Miss Kawa, because I think the impression many of us have is that admin or administration is pushing paper, right? Dotting I,
right.
crossing T. But
Yeah.
really, the true meaning of it is much larger than that. It's
Mhm.
really all of the processes and activity of running a business, including what you just mentioned, which is being able to see the future and work backwards and put the right things in place. So the meaning, I think, has been diluted
Mhm.
where we just think it's paper pushes. That's not what it is at all.
No.
It's much more what you're describing, Tracy. So I'm really grateful that you shared with us exactly what that role is. And as Tracy Kawa mentioned, um, you're the first
Yeah.
CAO we've ever interviewed. Um, so if anybody's going that direction, you got a lot to learn.
Oh,
It's
um,
amazing.
yep. It's a unique title for sure. Um, but I wear it proudly.
You do. You definitely wear it proudly. So Tracy, if you are thinking about yourself in a hindsight kind of way, is there any advice you would give the younger you that might have changed the trajectory or enhanced it or sped it up or whatever? Is there any advice you give the younger, just graduated college you?
I would continue to listen, absorb, reach out, ask for advice, ask people what is it that they do, because no two people are the same, and no two people react the same way. But be inquisitive.
Mm,
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Inquisitive, curious.
Hmm.
It's the way we learn, isn't it?
Yep.
For sure. Tracy, this curiosity piece always I find curious
mm,
because it really is what allows us to continue to learn, to continue to ask questions. But one of the other things I believe it does, and let me know what your thoughts are, is it allows us to take risks
Mhm.
mm.
rather than get pigeonholed and this is the way it is. Would you agree? And can you elaborate a little bit for us?
I can. You're absolutely right. In childcare at tutor time, I watched young children. They're curious. They're always trying something new. doesn't always work out, but they grow and they expand their knowledge. And to me, that's exactly what we have to continue to do as young adults, as older adults. We always have to be learning. We always have to be thinking, I don't know it all, and I'm going to ask a lot of questions so that I can get a better understanding. I mean, right now, I have my undergraduate degree is in marketing, and we were just talking about the other day how mailers were the big thing at that
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
would never use that right now. It's such a digital world.
Mhm.
And understanding what is a ROAS and, how do we use that information to get
Hmm.
better? So to me, it's looking online, what do those words mean? Listening to other podcasts about people that are in those industries and what do they look for? So constantly educating yourself.
So I've had a burning question because you're so optimistic. It's like you're that person that can take a toad and turn it into a prince. But you also mentioned something about speed bumps.
Mhm.
And I'm just curious if you've ever had a professional speed bump that you hit, if you can share it with us possibly and how you handled it.
Yeah, I think dealing with, yes, I have had plenty of speed bumps. Yes, I am the the beverage is half
Half
full, not
full.
half empty, right?
Yeah,
And I think I got that from my mom. My mom was
nice.
super ultra positive all the time.
Wow.
But she was a real estate broker, and there were times where she didn't get the deal, other times she did get the deal, but just kind of understanding that we're all going to make a mistake, and that's okay. That's how we learn. Um, I go back to watching young children, having young children, in our lives. We watch that curiosity. We watch those,
Mhm.
again, those little speed bumps that they have. Um, both of
Yeah.
my boys, crashed two cars each and totaled
Mhm.
them. Um, Not a great thing.
That's a speed bump.
That's a speed
That's a
bump,
speed
right?
bump. Yeah.
And again, you look back and you go, well, maybe that car was too big. This car, didn't. So again, we have to be able to conquer and pivot.
Yeah. And as
Conquer.
long as they were fine, that's
They
really
were
all that
fine. They were fine.
matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, conquer, pivot, and make sure you have your Swiss
Mhm.
Army knife of
That's it.
attributes and
Yeah.
skills at your fingertips at all times. Final question for me, unless Tracy has, but I'm wondering, as long as you've been in the franchise space, what are some of the things that have dramatically changed, or what are you seeing in the future that franchisors need to pay attention to?
Um, Franchisors really need to understand how franchisees come from all walks of life.
Hmm.
Can't have all type A personalities. That's not how this works. We need to have a variety of people. We have to have a variety of experiences from our franchisees. Some might be, again, depends on what the service is. We are looking for franchisees that are looking to work in the business, not necessarily just own it. They might have an operating partner, but they might not be day to day. And just understanding that that's acceptable. It might
Hmm.
be outside the norm of what you want, but it's worth trying. But again, trying to find different types of franchisees, uh, to me, is how you make success.
Yeah, kind of balances everything out, doesn't it?
It
We
does.
don't want more of us.
Right, right. Again, a room
Oh,
full of all type A's
No.
doesn't move the needle. You need
Yeah.
people that have a great opinion, maybe a strong opinion, but
Mhm.
we need to
mhm.
be able to work in kind of that vertical to know that there's different people make the world go round. So,
Which
Nice.
which requires us to be flexible, right? Because we do tend to hang with people that are like ourselves. So we have
Right.
to be more accepting, more flexible, more open-minded. So those are definitely attributes that I think we can all,
Yeah.
get on board with because it really does, as you pointed out, allow us to have greater success. Um, I want to thank you, Tracy, for bringing your passion, bringing your advice about relationship, showing how it is possible to learn many things and use those lessons on a day-to-day basis, and also to know when to use the fork, when to use the knife, when to use the spoon, just to
Yeah.
be able to switch
Mm.
like that. And I'm also very impressed with the generous nature that you have inside of franchising as well as outside
Yeah.
of franchising. It sounds like it blesses others and it also blesses you. So you have blessed us today by being
Thank you so
so.
much. It's been my pleasure. It just, again, I, I'm here to pay it forward. So,
Mm.
Yes, you do.
So where can people get a hold of you?
right now I'm at Legacy Franchise Concepts. You can email me, Tracy, Tracey, at lfcbrands.com. There
Perfect.
you
Thank
go.
you. And
Mm.
Tracy, I'm going to let you wrap it up for us. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, so my final thoughts, Rebecca and Tracy, is that obviously, Tracy, you just have an amazing personality. You're so bubbly, you're so effervescent. But I also learned so much because, again, like Rebecca said, we think of administrative as more like paperwork, but you're really a high-level strategist.
Mhm.
So that was really, really interesting to learn. And also, like, you strike me as somebody who really wants to give people a chance and see the best in people and bring out the best in people, you know? And I just love the fact that you can be this high level strategist, but at the same time, be a person who's in the details of the day, like brightening up the day for someone who has dementia.
Mhm.
So it's just like it speaks to your flexibility, your ability to pivot, like we were talking the whole time. So yeah, I just really have enjoyed this conversation and having you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Those are beautiful and kind words. Thank you.
So we want to thank those that are listening in today. Obviously, comment, like, share Tracy Walsh's interview. And we'll see you next week on another episode of the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged.